Hey, data enthusiasts, welcome back to the show. Today, we're going deep on Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call.
Yeah, their report just dropped and we're going to break it all down.
All right, so big picture first. Datadog just blew past a huge EV milestone, $3 billion in annual recurring revenue.
$3 billion. It's impressive how they're building on such a strong foundation.
Right, they started with that rock-solid infrastructure monitoring product.
And then they expanded into APM and log management.
And now each of those is bringing in, what, over $750 million in AR?
Each, yeah, over $750 million.
That's crazy. And think about this. More than half of their customers haven't even bought all three yet.
Right. There's so much potential for them to just keep growing.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's get into the specifics of Q4. Remember all that buzz about AI native customers? Well,
They're proving to be a huge growth driver.
yeah, they made up 6% of Datadog's ARR this quarter.
But they contributed 5 percentage points to year-over-year revenue growth.
It's pretty wild when you think about it.
It really shows how AI is changing the whole tech landscape.
And Datadog is right in the middle of it all. Okay, so let's unpack some of the key highlights from the call. First up, record bookings. Datadog pulled in over $1 billion in bookings just in Q4.
Seriously, $1 billion. It shows how much momentum they have going into 2025.
And they're not just attracting any customers, they're winning over some of the biggest names out there.
Yeah, major financial institutions, global retail giants, even a Fortune 100 oil and gas company.
It really goes to show that Datadog's platform isn't just for tech companies. It's solving real-world problems across all kinds of industries.
Exactly. Okay, so one product that deserves a shout out is their Flex Logs.
Their re-architected log management platform.
It's gaining some serious traction.
And they're already seeing big wins with it. There's even potential for it to become a cornerstone product like their Cloud SIEM.
It makes sense, right? Businesses are trying to handle these massive amounts of data.
And FlexLogs is built to deal with that.
Exactly. And as companies face more complex security threats, Datadog is stepping up with their Cloud SIEM offering.
So they're really addressing two of the biggest challenges for businesses today, managing huge amounts of data and ensuring security.
Right. It's not just about point solutions. They're building a whole platform to tackle these issues.
Okay, so let's dig a little deeper into those AI native customers. We talked about how driving growth, but there's some things to consider, like Datadog mentioned, some renewals with these companies involved, higher commitments, and better terms.
Right, which isn't a surprise. As those AI companies grow quickly, their needs change.
Of course. And they're also getting better at optimizing their usage, which might impact revenue growth in the short term.
But that optimization doesn't mean less spending. It just means they're getting more efficient.
True. Okay, so there's always that question, will these AI giants eventually build their own observability solutions?
It's a valid concern, but as Datadog's CEO pointed out, building in-house only makes sense for a few huge companies with tons of resources.
For most businesses, it's much more efficient to partner with a platform like Datadog.
Okay, so we've talked about the highlights, the customer wins, and the AI situation. What about Datadog's investment strategy for 2025?
They're planning to put a lot more resources into R&D and sales and marketing.
So they're committed to innovation and expanding their market reach.
Exactly. And they're being strategic about it, focusing on areas with the most potential, like growing sales, promoting products like Flex Logs and On-Call, and moving into new regions.
It's a data-driven approach, which makes sense for a company like Datadog.
And they're projecting high operating expense growth, which might raise some eyebrows.
But their guidance still implies a healthy operating margin.
So they're basically saying, we're going to invest to grab this market share, but we're not sacrificing profitability.
And considering their history of turning investments into growth and profit, it's a smart strategy.
Okay, so let's have some fun and do a what if for a minute.
I'm always game for that what if Datadog went all in on the gaming industry.
Yeah. Imagine a dedicated platform for game developers to monitor everything from player experience to server performance.
That's an interesting thought. It would be a big shift, but they've been successful at expanding before.
The gaming industry is booming. Developers are always trying to improve player experience. A platform like Datadog could help them do that.
It could be a game changer for the gaming world.
All right, let's bring it back to the earnings call. One thing that stood out was their focus on usage growth.
Absolutely. It's tied directly to their revenue.
And they said usage growth from existing customers was about the same as last year.
That's a good sign. It means their customers are using the platform more.
And they saw strong growth from enterprise customers, which is great.
Yeah, enterprise customers tend to spend more, so that's encouraging.
Now let's talk about the hyperscalers. All three missed their revenue forecasts for Q4. And they're saying it's because of capacity limits on the AI side and maybe a slowdown in cloud migrations.
Yeah. How do you think that will impact Datadog?
Well, Datadog's CEO said that even with the slowdown, they're still growing much faster than the hyperscalers in the non-AI part of their business.
So they're still grabbing market share and doing well in the cloud space.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of their financials, the highlights, even some fun hypotheticals.
It's clear that they're dominating the observability market, and they're not slowing down.
And their focus on building a platform, not just separate solutions, is a big reason for their success.
It gives them a real advantage over competitors who have more piecemeal offerings.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more thing that came up in the Q&A, the renewed focus on logs.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest in Flex logs and Cloud SAM. It seems like logs are becoming more important.
I think it's because companies are dealing with more and more data, and logs are full of information, but it can be hard to get insights from them.
And Datadog's CEO talked about how Flex logs is attracting customers who need to keep and analyze huge amounts of data for a long time, which is important for things like compliance security and business intelligence.
And Cloud SIEM helps with security, which is becoming more and more difficult as cyber attacks get more sophisticated.
It's interesting that Datadog thinks Flex logs could become a key product like Cloud SIEM.
It makes sense. They want to unify these offerings and provide a complete solution for both operations and security.
It's about giving companies a complete view of their systems, both performance and security.
Now, one analyst asked about the potential for agentless AI.
Agentless AI.
Yeah, it's AI that doesn't need software agents to collect data.
It's still early days for that technology.
Right, but Datadog's CEO said they're watching it closely, and they're already seeing customers use LLM observability to monitor AI agents.
So they're thinking about how to adapt.
It'll be interesting to see how it all develops. All right, so we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive into Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call.
They're doing great financially, they're innovating, they understand what their customers need,
They're setting the pace in the observability market.
and their customer-centric approach is working for businesses of all sizes.
Their platform strategy is a major advantage for them.
It allows them to give a much more complete view of their customers' systems.
Okay, before we move on to part two, I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
We've talked about how Datadog helps businesses manage their technology, their cloud, their applications, their AI systems. But what about the human element?
The human element?
Yeah, what if we could use observability to understand and improve human performance, especially at work?
Interesting. So like a platform that tracks things like employee engagement, productivity, well-being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We could learn so much about how people work best, how to make work more engaging and productive, and how to create a culture of well-being.
That's a powerful idea.
It's a bold vision, and I think Datadog is the company to do it.
It would be a big change, and it fits with the focus on employee well-being these days.
So that's something to think about as we head into part two of our deep dive into Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call.
It really makes you think, how we could use this kind of technology to understand people better.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential there. But for now, let's get back to Datadog's numbers. They reported a gross margin of 81.7% this quarter.
That's a little lower than last quarter and the same quarter last year.
It's probably because of those big investments they're making in R&D.
Yeah, that makes sense. Those investments can definitely impact margins in the short term.
But we also have to consider that their newer products, which are growing fast, usually have lower margins at first.
Right. As those products mature, their margins should improve.
And their long-term target is still around 80%, so they're not changing their overall strategy.
Okay, so what about operating income?
They reported $179 million this quarter, which gives them an operating margin of 24%.
Not bad. A little lower than last quarter, but still pretty healthy.
Especially when you consider those investments they're making.
And remember, their projected margin for the whole year is 21%, so they're definitely focused on staying profitable.
Okay, let's check out their balance sheet. They ended the quarter with $4.2 billion in cash equivalents and marketable securities.
Wow, that's a lot of cash.
It gives them a ton of flexibility to invest, make acquisitions, maybe even return some capital to shareholders.
Speaking of acquisitions, Datadog's made some smart moves in the past. Do you think they'll do anything big in 2025?
It's possible they've been really careful with acquisitions, only going after companies that fit well with their strategy.
So if the right opportunity comes along, they're definitely ready.
All right, so let's move on to their guidance for Q1 and the full year, always important for investors.
What are they projecting?
For Q1, they're expecting revenue between $737 million and $741 million.
So about 21% year-over-year growth.
Yep, a good start to the year, but a little slower than Q4.
What about the whole year?
They're guiding for revenue between $3.175 billion and $3.195 billion.
That's 18% to 19% growth.
Right. Still solid growth, but they're being a little cautious because of the economy.
Yeah, the macro environment is still a bit uncertain.
Okay, so we've talked about the numbers, the highlights, and even some what-ifs. What's your overall take on Datadog's performance and their future?
I think they're doing incredibly well. They're executing their plan, they're handling the economic challenges, and they're constantly innovating.
I agree. They're not just leading the observability market. They're shaping it, and their focus on building a platform is what sets them apart.
Right, that platform strategy is so important. It lets them add new products and meet more of their customers' needs.
So from an investor's point of view, would you recommend Datadog stock?
Well, this is not financial advice, but I think Datadog has a lot of the things I look for in a long-term investment.
Like what?
A big and growing market, a history of success, strong financials, and a great leadership team.
Plus, they're benefiting from some huge trends like cloud adoption, digital transformation, and the rise of AI.
And their platform is perfectly positioned to take advantage of those trends.
Of course, every investment has risks, they have competition, and the economy is still unpredictable.
That's true. But they've shown they can handle those challenges.
So if you're interested in the tech sector, Datadog is worth looking into.
Just remember, do your own research and talk to a financial advisor.
Okay, it's time for our This Is Not Financial Advice segment where we let loose and pitch a crazy, but maybe plausible trade idea.
I like where this is going. What do you have?
What if Datadog used their platform to create a real-time market intelligence tool for the stock market?
Wait, you're saying use Datadog to monitor the stock market?
Yeah, they could track everything. News sentiment, social media trends, trading patterns, analyze it all in real time and give investors insights.
It would be like having an AI stock market predictor.
Particularly.
But wouldn't that be incredibly hard to do? The stock market changes so fast.
That's where their observability expertise comes in. They already deal with complex systems all the time.
I see what you mean. They could apply those same principles to the stock market.
And use their AI to create models that could give investors an edge.
They could build dashboards that show trends, identify risks, and even alert people to strange activity.
It would be really disruptive and probably controversial.
Oh, yeah. There would be regulatory issues, ethical concerns, and probably some resistance from traditional investors.
But that's what makes it a fun, this is not financial advice idea. It's outside the box, and it shows how much potential Datadog's platform has.
It really shows how innovative they are.
Okay, back to reality for a second. One thing that really stood out to me was their emphasis on usage growth.
Yeah, me too. It's a key metric for them.
They said usage from existing customers in Q4 was about the same as last year.
Which is good news. It means their customers are sticking around and using the platform more.
And they had particularly strong growth from enterprise customers.
That's great news because enterprise customers tend to have more complex needs and spend more.
All right, now for the elephant in the room, the hyperscalers.
Oh, what about them?
All three missed their Q4 revenue targets. They blamed it on AI capacity constraints and a possible slowdown in cloud migrations.
So how does that affect Datadog?
Well, their CEO addressed it head on. He said even with the slowdown, Datadog is still outpacing the hyperscalers in the non-AI part of their business.
So they're still winning market share, even if things are slowing down a bit.
Okay, so we've covered a lot: financials, highlights, even some fun hypotheticals.
They're killing it in the observability market, and they're not letting up.
Their commitment to building a platform instead of just separate tools is a big reason why they're so successful.
It gives them a huge advantage over their competitors who are offering more fragmented solutions.
Okay, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay, hit me with it.
We've talked a lot about how Datadog is helping businesses monitor their cloud infrastructure, their applications, their AI systems. But what about the bigger picture? How will observability shape the future of technology as a whole?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think observability will be absolutely crucial as technology gets even more complex and interconnected. We're going to need more powerful tools to help us understand and manage these systems and make sure everything is running smoothly.
It's not just about the technology, though. It's about the data. Observability is all about collecting, analyzing, and making sense of tons of data to get useful insights. And as we create more and more data, observability will be even more important.
Totally. We're drowning in data, and observability is like the life raft that helps us navigate it all.
I think we're just starting to see what observability can really do. It's a field that's changing fast. and it has the power to transform how we build, manage, and protect technology.
Definitely, it's exciting to see where it goes from here.
And Datadog is leading the way. They're pushing the limits and setting the bar for everyone else.
They're not just keeping up with the changes, they're driving them.
That's a great point.
Wow.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this part of our deep dive into Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call. Join us for part 3, where we'll explore some even more speculative and thought-provoking ideas. All right, welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call. We've gone through their financials, their plans for the future, even tossed around some hypotheticals. Now it's time for everyone's favorite, our This Is Not Financial Advice segment.
Where we let our imaginations run wild.
Exactly. We've seen how amazing Datadog is, but what if they did something totally unexpected? Something crazy?
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
What if Datadog used their platform to build a real-time market intelligence tool? But not just any market.
Okay,
I
I'm
mean,
listening.
what if they built it for the stock market?
Whoa, hold on. You're saying use Datadog to monitor the stock market like it's some kind of giant system?
That's the idea. They could track everything. News sentiment, social media trends, even trading patterns.
All in real time?
Yep. Analyze it all and give investors real-time insights. It would be like an AI-powered crystal ball for the stock market.
That's a wild idea. I mean, it's super interesting, but wouldn't that be incredibly difficult? The stock market is so unpredictable.
That's true. But that's where Datadog's expertise comes in. They already deal with complex systems all the time.
So you're saying they could take those same skills and apply them to the stock market?
Exactly. They could monitor, analyze, interpret all that data that's constantly flowing and driving market movements.
And with their AI and machine learning, they could create models that could give investors a real advantage.
Think about it, dashboards that show trends in real time, identify risks and opportunities, even alert investors to unusual activity.
It would be a game changer, but also probably really controversial.
Oh, definitely. There will be regulatory hurdles, ethical concerns, probably pushback from traditional investors.
But hey, that's what makes it a fun thought experiment, right? Pushing the limits of what's possible.
Exactly. It just goes to show how powerful Datadog's platform is and how they could apply their tech to almost anything.
It's really impressive how innovative they are.
Okay, so that's our wild, this is not financial advice idea for today. Now let's wrap up our deep dive. What are your final thoughts on Datadog?
They're at the top of their game. They're executing well, navigating the economy, and innovating like crazy.
I couldn't agree more. They're not just keeping up, they're leading the way, and they're definitely a company to watch.
And once again, this is not financial advice, but if you're looking at the tech sector, Datadog is worth checking out.
Okay, that's it for our deep dive into Datadog's Q4 2024 earnings call. We hope you enjoyed it.
And until next time, keep exploring the world of tech.